In this video, we're going to look at which tools your organization should actually be using and or buying. This is actually a condensed version of a webinar I ran a few weeks ago. I just thought this could be a nice different type of video as opposed to the more practical hands-on one, in actually exploring a bit more of an overview of how organizations should look at using these AI tools and which ones they should be purchasing. So there's a big challenge in that every week we're hearing about a new AI tool, there's a new model, there's a new must-have, and I'm very guilty of being swept away and just wanting to try everything. And while there can be value in that, there is still that importance of being grounded in having a foundational toolkit that you use regularly, that you become comfortable with, and they're actually, leveraged to its full capacity without being drawn away by the next shiny tool. Now, this is very regular in the sector, in all sectors. This is some statistics that have been brought up that actually show that, quite a lot of subscription services are purchased and not used, untouched at all, or not really implemented into their workflow. And I think this is one of the biggest wastes with these AI tools, is actually having access to it, but not using it to its full. I loved an organization that I spoke to a few years ago, and I'll never forget it. And they explained that they use every single feature of ChatGPT. Everyone in the organization had a paid plan, and they were using the meeting transcription tool, the custom GPTs, the project, the agent mode. Every single feature of ChatGPT was being used by every single person for different uses. And that is the thing. It's about finding how these tools can work for you, but it's about leveraging them to the full. We don't really want to be buying these tools and not actually using them. So we've kind of got two different AI segments, I suppose. We've got AI that's built into the tools that we're already using, and this is becoming more and more available. You'll notice this in almost every platform that you use, whether it's Airtable or Notion or an email marketing campaign tool or Canva. AI is being embedded into the tools that we use. And then we also have kind of some standalone tools, which I think are more like the chatbots, how they started, ChatGPT and Claude, but they themselves are building out a whole ecosystem around them. ChatGPT has Codex, Claude has Cowork and Code, and they themselves are really powerful systems that leverage the power of those models within that. So instead of actually, trying to do everything, let's see if we've already got some of the functionality that's available in the tools that we use. And most nonprofits are already living in two worlds. That's either the Microsoft space or the Google Workspace. And both of them have some free access to AI tools and then some paid access to more advanced implementations into their tools. Both of them offer a free version to nonprofits. My personal preference is towards Google. I just find that it's a lot easier, but I do know a lot of organizations do use Microsoft because of better safety and security around data. So let's have a look. And Microsoft has what they call Copilot, and there's a free version. You can actually come to this called copilot.microsoft.com. We can see that they all look quite similar. On the left-hand side, we've got a chat, we've got a library, we've got projects that we can create. We can actually use Copilot with a range of different AI models within it. Especially as you advance onto, more of the paid plans, you get more functionality. But this is like, a traditional ChatGPT was back in the beginning, where we can have a conversation, we can ask it to do things, and it will actually respond back to us. I have to verify that I'm human just to send it a message to say hi. It says, hi, late night in Sydney. Not at all. It's 10 a.m. Anyway, where I got this type of information from. So, what it does is it is a ChatGPT type interface. You can use the GPT models. We can upload documents. We can ask it to draft replies. We can generate some images. It can do most of those standard things now. What it doesn't do, especially on the free plan, is integrate into the tools that you're already using, SharePoint, Teams, etc. And so it is a lot of kind of this back and forth copy and pasting between the tools. If you do, look at advancing and actually paying for this, this is where you're going to find more advanced integrated features, where you're going to have AI in Word. You're going to have it in Outlook, or it's called Copilot rather. Copilot in Word, in Outlook, in Excel, in PowerPoint. And so if you're using these tools regularly, it's definitely worth exploring if this paid investment will be, enhancing the work that you already do. It is quite expensive though. We are looking at, in Australia, $25.50 per user per month, which is a lot more than these other platforms are offering. So I know this is a great integration, but really just analyze, the cost benefit for that, especially, how frequently you would be using this. Let's now compare this to Google. So again, Google has a, free version for nonprofits up to 2,000 users, which is, pretty remarkable. And as part of that, they too get access to a chatbot tool called Gemini. Very similar. We can come here and ask questions. We can upload files, create images. We can use deep research. We can even create music, guided learning, and we can choose a range of different models. Now, this is definitely more advanced than Copilot. I think Google is more generous in giving more functionalities in the free tier. And we also then get access to NotebookLM, which is honestly one of my favorite AI tools. I just find it so valuable in providing curated information or getting it to research a specific topic and then turning that into podcasts, videos, all types of different outputs with their studio, which is just, really, really fun, a really great way of leveraging AI. So Notebook and Gemini are available for free as part of this nonprofit plan. But again, if you do pay for the more advanced plan, you get AI in your tools that you're already using. AI in Gmail, in Docs, in Slides, in Sheets, in Meet, in Drive. And this provides a lot more value. As I've said, both of these platforms, if you're working in that environment day to day and you can have AI embedded in the tools that you're already using, you're going to often find a lot of value in it. Now, Google is a lot more affordable. They have a business plan that is highly discounted for nonprofits. So you can actually get this this is in US pricing, $3.50 per user per month if paid annually. And I think the value of that is just immense. Having all of these advanced features in the tools that you're already using, I think is a much easier sell than Copilot is. So before you buy anything new, I recommend you kind of do a bit of an audit. Look at the subscriptions you're already paying for. Get your 12 months of invoices, go through your bookkeeping software or get AI to analyze some of the invoices and statements and actually see what tools are you already paying for and see, do some of these tools already provide you with some of the functionality that you're looking for. You can actually go to these tools or use AI to go to these tools pages and say, what is the new features that they're making available? Not everything is in your face. It could be these subtle changes that they add silently to enhance the user's experience of the tool, but don't actually publicly, make it really visible. So get AI, use Perplexity, use something like a web search within ChatGPT or Claude and say, these are the tools that we're already using. What are the AI features within it that could actually help us do the work that we are working on? Check the admin console. These features are often turned off by default. You may need to enable them. So log into your settings page, see what type of features there you can enable for yourself and the team. And prioritize on features that you would use regularly. The flashy ones are often the ones that can draw a lot of excitement, but don't provide, a lot of value long term. So what are the tools that you need to use every day? Because you're doing those tasks every day. As I said, things like drafting replies to emails, having AI in Gmail can be really helpful. Remove that kind of copy and paste of an email to ChatGPT and get a draft and then take and paste it back. So that value add can be immense, especially if you're already doing those specific tasks. And then test it, try it for 30 days, pick a few features, train your staff on how to actually use it. It doesn't have to be complicated. Could be even just some resources like some YouTube videos, and then get people to experiment and actually try it and see how they are actually finding value in it, and report back at the end of those 30 days to then reevaluate it. There is something now called AI sprawl. It's just having too many AI platforms. You can be at risk of just paying for so many tools and not using any of them. So you can designate an AI lead, an AI champion, someone who can actually just oversee this process, manage and oversee what are the tools that you have approved and actually using. Now, this is really valuable as a supplement to your AI policy. They can work very much hand in hand. And standardize on one general tool. I find organizations that have a few people on one tool and a few on another, can be missing out in terms of building that culture around that shared experience of using a specific tool that provides special functionality. So if you can, have one ecosystem. And again, as always, have an AI policy. The stats are remarkable, just how few orgs have that policy. It's a really important scaffolding and framework that explains to staff how and when they can use AI and when and how they should not be using AI. And before you buy a new tool, see if there's already those features available in the tools that you use. If not, you may need to upgrade. You may need to pay to have some of these advanced features, and that may be worth it. If not, you may need to buy outside of your ecosystem. But, always try and work within and then out. See if the tools you already use can provide that functionality, and if not, buy out. And, I think we're in a really interesting time now where you can even build your own tools for your own specific needs. I was speaking to an organization a few weeks ago, and they want a real specific CRM based on the work that they do. And they're spending a lot of money on another platform that just doesn't solve their problem. And so they are actually leveraging AI to code up and build a CRM for them that is specific to them and how they work. And I actually said that there's another opportunity in that, not only of having the CRM that really caters to the work that they do, but they could actually potentially share this or even sell this to other organizations that work in a similar space that too have that specific problem. We now have this ability to build and create incredible tools and applications with AI. So it's something worth having on your radar. It's not something that you do first off. If there's a tool that already solves your problem, use it. Building can be hard and complicated, but there is options for us as we advance. Now we've got a few of these main AI, assistant chatbots. We've got ChatGPT, we've got Claude, we've got Gemini, and we've got Microsoft Copilot. And here's a bit of a costing for them. We can see that we can get some really beneficial discounts in the nonprofit space. Gemini, Google's version, is highly discounted at $3.50 per user per month. And ChatGPT and Claude both offer a 75% discount on their 20-a-month or 25-a-month plan, and both offer a nonprofit plan at $8 per user per month. So I think that's really, really affordable, high value that you can actually get from these tools for that monetary cost. And then there is Copilot that does have a small discount for nonprofits, but still is quite expensive. So there is that caveat to that, which I think is something to be mindful of. And so what I see a few organizations now is having like a bit of a home base, whether that's the Google and Microsoft, and then deciding, is the free version enough, or will we get added value from that paid version, obviously depending on the two platforms and the cost around it, and then having a separate platform, having a Claude or having a ChatGPT, depending on the functionality and the features that you need. Both are very powerful, but they do have some slight variations in terms of their strengths and the functions that they provide. So it's best for organizations to check and actually pick the tool that best suits them. But I think this can work quite nicely as a bit of a synergy, having a home base and then having an external tool, because we're also seeing now that these external tools are getting many, many more connectors to the tools that we're already using. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT to your Gmail, to your Google Drive, to your Outlook, to your SharePoint, and actually work from that environment outwards. They're almost becoming a bit of a hub, especially these new codecs and co-work features where you've got this ability to assign a task to the AI and it can actually just extract information from that as is needed. So I think there is value in having both of these. This is the final checklist of what you can do to actually walk away today. So check if you are registered for those discounts. You should, as a nonprofit, already have that version for free. And if not, start the verification process. You may even want to explore getting the nonprofit Google plan just to offer to your staff. It's free. You can sign up, you can register, you can host it on a complimentary domain or even a subdomain, and actually then provide those AI tools to your staff for free. I think that is definitely an option places should be exploring. This week, run that audit, check the tools that you're already using, see what are the features that are available with them, get AI to analyze it, tell AI the work that you're doing, the tools that you have access to, and ask it to prepare a bit of a plan about how you could use them more. So actually start doing it. This is very much a snowball effect. The more we use these tools, the better we become, the more fluent we become, and the more opportunities and use cases we find, as well as learning along the way. And then this month, pick 2 of those built-in AI features, but run a bit of a training or provide some resources to the team, get them to use it for the 30 days, and then evaluate. Run this process where you actually are running evaluations on the features and seeing what type of value that provides. So hopefully this has been of interest and provides you a bit of a framework of how you can implement this within your organization. You can also take this video or the transcript and actually drop it into ChatGPT or Claude and ask it to help guide you as a personalized experience through this journey. As always, any questions, please feel free to ask below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.